Welcome to Shadows of Forbidden Gods. My name is Daz Tactic, and we're just going through almost like a tutorial sort of style Let's Play, where each video is going to be having a theme until we sort of get into the Let's Play side of things. But in this one, we're going to be having a deeper dive into the way that human societies work, and we can sort of see that we've got like a small kingdom in through here. So we'll use this as a bit of an example. Maybe we'll have a look at a few of the other kingdoms as well. So we'll just have a bit of a deeper look at what is actually going on here. We've sort of touched on a lot of these things in the other episodes, but we'll make this one a dedicated one to what does go on. Now, when you have a look at the different cities, you'll see that there's often, like this one's got like a light shining on it because of the wards. If I just go to the modifiers, by the way, that's a really important thing to do. Like if you just go across into here and then just click on, make sure that you've got the modifiers tab on. I guess I wish that these would highlight when you've got them allocated. There's different things we can do here. Like we can look at the national actions that can be done from this location. We can look at the local actions that can be done at this location as well. And these are mainly what can be done by the ruler of this particular town. We don't need to get too involved with this ourselves, but there's the ward against the shadow, for example. So the motivation to do this one, you can see there is 20 because they dislike the shadow. Minus 49 existing wards is in there. So very low chance to now do this particular ward. But that's something that is now on the cards for everyone because the world panic is starting to rise. So that's sort of where we are in the game. So these, and you can see these have got the same thing as what the heroes have got with their motivation. So the current highest motivation, if this was available, and it's actually not available, so this one he can't do this one here, but fund Prince Mate's memories would be the one that he would actually go for. Transfer 25% of the ruler's gold to the prince to fund their activities. So in this case, yes, it's not what do we have to do through here? There's something that's not quite working with that one. Fund the chosen one as well. Muster defences here, so increase defences by 25. These are the sorts of things that the ruler can do at this local location. And the king can then do these national ones as well. So tax nobles in through this side. We can't do that, but that's sort of what's currently being done. And so this is what it's most likely to be wanting to do at this stage. So 30 base motivation, and then it's just got like some other things that then work against that. So depending on what the ruler's tags are, it's like the positive traits to do this would be to be positive about gold, and the negative traits would be to have a dislike to cooperation. Now, if we have a look at our actual leader, and we'll do a bit of looking at the leaders, the families, and the actual towns themselves. We probably shouldn't start with this, I probably shouldn't start with this, but we'll just have a quick look and see. Yeah, his only dislike is the shadow, which is why he would be wanting to anything that would give him things against the shadow. That's what he would actually then go and do, but it's nothing we're seeing much in there other than just the local actions of warding against the shadow. And you can see there the 20 is because of his dislike of the shadow. I'm assuming that this one over here, if we have a look at this character as well, who also put this one up, has a dislike of gold, dislike of shadow, and a dislike of the deep ones. So this is Baroness Ramirasat Polieri. Anyway, that's why they're making that's why they're promoting those actions. But all of the different people in these different locations will do that. Like if we go to this little village where we've got like a Baron Fons Polyantry, he's got a disliking of cruelty. And so, again, the national actions are coming from the king as such, but the local actions, he can actually tax his local citizens. So gains gold for the ruler, but causes unrest. So if he didn't there's nothing that's stopping him from doing that. So that's probably really what he wants to be doing. And so if we have a bit of a look to see what's going on through this, with what's actually going on in this particular area, we can then sort of see that no matter where we go, there's going to be like a group of stats in through here for each of the actual cities. So they all have like a different set of stats. Let's start with the actual town of Volosate, which is the capital of the kingdom of Volosate, which is the one that we're trying to sort of infiltrate at this point in time. So if we go through these different areas down through here, so we've got the population is currently 104, and it can go up to a maximum of 142. And so the population represents how many thousands of citizens are present in the settlement. They require food equal to the number to avoid hunger increasing, and in return, high population allows high defences and powerful armies. So they need to be prosperous, they need to be they need to sort of have like the defences. You can see through here we've got defence represents a local force able to protect the settlement from attack. So 114 out of 124 is actually fairly strong. And that's what this force is in through here. So we see 124 out of 124, but at the moment, it's not quite at that high level. The prosperity is very, very high. So this represents the average wealth of the settlement citizens and increases both army power and defence strength. So it cannot go below 10%. This location's prosperity is affected by -10 from normal humans, but there is actually trade routes coming through. I didn't realise the trade routes were actually working in the actual game at the moment. So we've got an extra 20% in total over the normal 100%. Now the trade routes, if we press number 9, we can see that most towns will actually have a trade route at the start somewhere. So that's the trade route heading off to that city there, I guess. So if we have a look at the trade route from Volosate or to Volosate, yeah, that's the trade route going up the top. So that's where the trade route goes through. And then there'll be another one going to Volosate. Yeah, the city. This is Esians moving across this way. So this is where the chosen one is currently located, and then moving through each of these locations across to here. Now the game will eventually make much more use of the trade routes, but just be aware that that's actually is kicking in a little bit. I didn't realize it was. So that's the number 9 key, which is not down in any of these, I don't think. It may be that one there. Hang on, is it that one there? No, it's not. All right, so anyway, this city here, we'll just focus on this one for a little while. So the prosperity, you can see the trade route is actually now, so the trade route goes along this way. So if we have a look at these areas, even this little convent in through here, for example, the prosperity should have a trade route here, +15 from trade routes in through there. But it's also got other problems there as well, which is really making this one quite poor. We'll have a look at this in just a minute. This one here has got trade routes still coming through. So the trade route of +15%, and then we should see at Esians, the prosperity it's only got +15 there. I wonder if it's because there's technically 2 trade routes that sort of branch off from this one here, that we end up with the extra prosperity in through there. +30, yeah, so it's 2 trade routes essentially sort of combined at this location. So this is like a trade centre. So anyway, that's the prosperity, and that that dictates a lot of what we sort of see with our defence and the population, etc. The food is really important to actually understand how this one does work. And so when we have a look at this one, this location can support a population of 223. And when we have a look at that one and we hover down at the bottom of it, you'll sort of see that the source, it's got a base of 12. From the habitability of the location, it's got 49. Now, this is one of the things that is dictated to essentially by the hexes around it. This is why I wish the hexes had a way of giving you information as to what they represented. It tells you there that it's got a grass terrain, but the terrain impacts a few different things. It's got the habitability. Habitability represents the degree to which humans and human-like creatures can thrive in this environment. If it becomes too hot or cold, the human settlement will perish, while high habitability scores result in high food, allowing high populations. And so the closer to 50% that is, I think the better that is, or it might be even closer to 100%. That's 63, 94 in through there. Yeah, that's very close to 50%. It's the temperature. 50% temperature is the ideal. And so this little village in through here has got very high habitability because of the temperature. And so the temperature there is very temperate. If we have a look in through here, this one's slightly hotter. And so it's at 58, which makes the habitability come down a little bit. But the food is being grown in these other locations and then being sent into Volosate. So if you have a look at the food over through here. So we've got 12 from the base. We've got 49 from the habitability, even though it's 79 showing in through this side, but it's 49 extra food coming in from that one. And then we're importing 104 from Tesserent village, and we're importing 58 from Neront village back over through here. So both these villages are feeding this town and giving us such a lot of food. And so this is actually something, when you're playing as the Shadow, if you can disrupt this food supply, it's very quick. You can end up getting some issues to bring their security down and get the infiltration up. So it sort of ties in with the previous episode a little bit with trying to get this infiltration lower each time. In fact, we should now see that this one's got 0. Yeah, this security 0 here, so we can start to infiltrate this one as well anyway. But they're really the only locations that are going to affect this one here will be these 2 in here. But they happen to just be villages, and villages are very easy for people like our Orc warlords to use their might and command to, well, essentially just might, to dominate and to destroy and to create all sorts of issues. So we're going to be doing that and destroying the food supplies in here, which will then allow us to open up these cities a lot more. So we've got 3 actual food locations all in a row that we can actually attack with our orc. And that's the goal. But I wanted to get him his protections first because he's going to be absolutely hated by what he's going to be doing in these locations. So we're going to get him raiding through this little valley through here between the mountains. So but I wish that the game did actually give you information about what the hexes actually, what was going on with them, because I would find that quite interesting personally. So anyway, sorry, and then the last thing we've gone through security before, where we actually have like a base location. It's getting +4 from the city and +3 because it's a capital, which gives it 8. So that's the maximum it can actually have. But as we start to create dissent and problems, like if we have a look at this one in through here, that one's still got high security. That one hasn't really been impacted by the troubles that it has. But let's have a look up here where there's been bigger issues. They're on the march, but from where? It looks like this one here has got big issues. The security has now dropped down because it's got -4 due to unrest. So it's got very, very high unrest. If I just go across the modifiers, we can see unrest is at -127. Devastation is at 121. So maybe the orcs have raided this town. That's probably what's actually happened, I would guess. And death is high as well. So that little citadel there is really struggling at this stage. And so what that does is it creates unrest, and then that flows into the capital, into here. And so we'll see security is down low as well. And so we've got, it's getting -1 from the unrest in that citadel. So the unrest eventually sort of opens everything up so that you can end up sort of getting the shadow moving in. So we're not doing anything up in here at all. But, at the moment, this is really, really struggling, and that's going to cause issues potentially into here. Now, I don't know if that supplies food. We'll see that the food supply is still greater than the population, and it is getting 5 from that citadel. So if it loses the 5, it's then going to go under the population, and then we'll get starvation in there. So at the moment, it's still supplying. It's only got 1 population in there, so it's actually almost going to collapse. Population's almost going to die off here, but it's creating 6 food, so there's 5 left over. That's the way that one works. If we go back to where we were looking at these different villages, this one here being in such a temperate location at 47%, with very, very high habitability, means that we can produce a lot of food. So we've actually got 104 extra food in this particular village. And so this is a real breadbasket. And so that's why when we look at these locations and hover over this one, we see 104 food coming from the Tessarant village, and similarly into this city as well. That'll also then have like a massive amount coming back in. So 104 coming from that village and another 58 from here. So taking out these 2 villages will impact this city as well. And if we take this one out, these are being fed by, you can see that we're getting +19. It's not as great as the others are, but it's mainly coming from Tyre Village. So Tyre Village is feeding that one, and I'm guessing Tyre Village will be the one feeding this one as well. Yeah, so we've got an extra 19 in here, which is then equating to food coming in through this side. So all we have to do is disrupt the food supply in those 3 locations to really severely impact the actual towns that we sort of see through there. Let's have another look a bit deeper into the way that actually I might do the interactions a bit later on. I'll just do what we're seeing here literally with the interplay with Inner Kingdom. I won't go and talk too much about international relations. Everything's pretty friendly. There's a little bit of tension there with the Queendom of Essions. So there's some issues in through there. We can make use of any problems that there are, but just be aware that there is actually a display that you can open up to see what's going on between the actual kingdoms, and you can get agents to start to create issues between different people on the map. In fact, I think we'll do that in the next episode. Actually, I've got this other agent that I want to bring in, and I do want to start that process. Let's do it now, actually. Let's actually have a bit of a look and see what else there is. With all of the different characters that we have, like if we look at this kingdom, for example, the king in through here is in charge of this particular location. He's got an heir which is going to be a duke. So the king will look at the different dukes. The dukes control the city. So if I go up to here, we've got a Duke Serai Poliaro. We have another duke over through here in this city, Duke. That's the Debreys, which is going to be that will take over if the king dies. So that's the same character in through there. So one of the dukes in the kingdoms will inherit the throne, and here's a duchess, aces, and you'll see that most of these are from the same family. If I do go and click on family, we should then sort of see that he has got like some children. None of them are actually in the line. We've got a mage, which is somewhere on the map, and we actually have a prince, which is also somewhere on the map. So these are actually wandering heroes on the actual map itself. He's 58 years old, so he's not really close to dying of old age. But that's sort of where we have, actually, if we just go and click on him again with his family, we can then sort of see other family we've got the Duke in through that side and the Lightbringer as well. So he's actually got 3 heroes that are related to him. If we click on the Duke in through here and have a look at him and look at his family, we'll then sort of see at this stage he's 57, but there's nothing really to do with him. Now, looks like he's not a brother as such. He could have been a brother, I'm not sure. Anyway, he's the same grouping anyway of the other one, and so the dukes will take over from a king if the king dies. When a duke dies, a baron will take over, and so we've got like Baroness Ision's Poliari. If we go and click on her and go to her location, actually, if we just click on go to, she's over in here. So she's actually looking after this area. Actually, is that her? No, this one here. So she's actually at one of these locations we're going to be attacking. When a baroness dies, she gets taken over by a minor noble, and so this one would then become the new baroness in through this side. And so if we go to where she is, she's just going to be at the capital. So there's going to be a lot of minor nobles sitting around at the capital. And if we have a look again at these guys, some of these I think will have, just go to their families again. Sometimes they'll be married to minor nobles as well. In fact, there you can see, I think is that the same one that we just saw before? Parents, Baroness, yeah, so she is the daughter of Baroness Isions, and she's got her spouse is Baron Elez, and but she is not a noble at this stage. But if her mother dies, she will then take over as the Baroness there. But we've already got a Baron. He is actually already over here where we're taking on Tyre Village, and so he's slowly succumbing to the shadow. But she isn't, because she's not living at that location. They just happen to be married together. So that's sort of how the nobility does actually work with this. So eventually we'll have all of these guys corrupted, I hope. That will be the goal. It'll take some time to do that. Other things with the actual cities themselves is, like I've shown you the interaction with the food. We've had a look at the trade briefly as well, just to see that there is actually more money that does come in. Now, the treasury. Their treasury is the total gold held by the ruler of this place. They will need it to fund armies, quell unrest, and support heroes. It can be stolen by your agents to reduce the effectiveness of the ruler and to force them to levy taxes, which will increase unrest. And so this is something we can actually then go and do. If we can take their money from them, they're going to have to then tax their people. Now, if he doesn't have any complete like or dislike in terms of gold. If he really liked gold, he would have no qualms in taxing the population. And also, if he's non-cooperative, he will also tax his dukes and barons as well. But he's got a fair bit of gold there at 230. Some of these other ones will be like 98, 107. So this is what's available to them at this stage. 112, 152. So this is the gold that's available at these locations. 36 is very low, 10 is very low, 31. So these guys are all struggling with their gold over through this side. 89 isn't too bad, and 8, which is terrible. Absolutely terrible. So these are sorts of things we can sort of make good use of ourselves stealing this isn't going to really be worth it. Some of these don't look too bad, actually. So we can sort of, with the prosperity that they actually have, we could send, again, our warlord has got a whole lot of different actions it can do. So let's grab our warlord. He's travelling to Tyre Village. In fact, that'll happen next turn, so let's just end our turn. So he's now moved into the Tyre Village. So what we can do is we can either send him in here and start to do different things. Like, we've got a whole range of different challenges that we can actually then go and do. Like, we can raid, which is one of the things we do want to do. We can also rob the treasury from here as well. So it requires a ruler to exist and infiltration to be at 100%, or for this to be the Dark Empire or an Ophirim theocracy, which is one of the other gods. Anyway, so this is requires a ruler to exist and infiltration to be at 100%. So I can actually go and rob the treasury from here, which will give me 12 profile and 12 menace, but it's not worth it. There's not enough treasury there. So this one is just not worth doing that. I'm thinking the most bang for buck I'm going to get overall is going to be to take this one out. So it won't take me long at these locations to do a to raid the periphery is only complexity 11, and because I've got a might of 6, I can do that in 2 turns. So I might as well raid this one. I might as well get all of these raids done. So we'll raid there. So the warlord is now raiding, and he's going to become, these raids are going to send his profile up by 10 each time and menace up by 25. So very, very soon his menace is going to go through the ceiling. And so I think I'm going to do 1 raid across each of these, maybe 2 raids there, and then go and hide somewhere for a little while. Now, we're not going to be able to hide as such, but I'll just get the profile and menace down, and then we'll come back and have a look at other things that we can do. Or we just let him go crazy, because no one's going to be really able to challenge him for an awfully long time. In fact, maybe we do that, make him an absolute menace, and he will then become the focus of the ire of the all the humans. They'll actually see him as the pretender god, even though he's just going to be an extremely violent orc. Anyway, let's raid this one, and we'll sort of see what happens as the raid sort of proceeds. So we'll just go and end our turn. Here we go, wards established. So Baron Elez Polieri, unfortunately, if we go to where he is, he's right where we are at the moment, so we'll dismiss that one. And she's also beginning the quest, reduce tensions at the city of Ession. So I think she's trying to reduce the tensions with the town of with the kingdom of Volusate. So unfortunately, there's wards now here. If we have a look and see what the influx actually is, the gain unfortunately is 0. So that ward will slowly break away. But it's important we still hit the infiltration here. Like the wards will eventually sort of dissipate. This one's at 96%. If we have a quick look and see what this is doing, the enshadowment is going up a little bit because we've got our character there. The wards are blocking 96%, so a little trickle of what's of the stuff is actually coming through. Now I don't care about the wards here so much. I mean I will eventually, but that will drop at 2 per turn, I think. Ultimately, yeah, 2 per turn. So we've got 50 turns before it's 0, but we do want this up. We do want this up, absolutely. This one's at 33% now. This one's at 18%. All right, so we'll just end our turn again. Wards established, so another one has done it. So we'll just go to where that is. That's way over there. All right, so they're now all starting to put these wards up, which we can't really do much about. Now, the ward is still there, but we've now finished what we were doing. And if we have a click on this one, we can see with the modifiers selected, the devastation is now at a higher current level. Like the level is now at 100%. And so devastation will start to cause issues at this location. So this village has now been devastated. I'm going to let that one slide. You'll see war, combat, and other violence has befallen this location. This prosperity is impacted while this modifier lasts. And so what we'll see is that over time, the prosperity will drop, the food will drop. And then once it gets to 25 food, they're going to stop giving food to these other locations. Let's leave that one where that is. So our leader here has now gone much, much higher with his menace. So he's now 45. This is becoming a serious problem. If he wasn't able to defend himself, that would be a big, big issue. Let's go to this next one and do the same thing. We're just going to raid all the way through here. Again, you can do that. This is a complexity of 11 in this case. So it's going to take 2 turns to do this one as well. So we'll just get all of these done, get him really, really aggressive, and then the heroes are going to have to try to do something about him. So we'll wait and sort of see what actually does happen with that. And so every time he does one of these as well, his XP only goes up by a small amount. It's not really anything great, but it all helps. So we'll end our turn and end our turn again. Nemesis. So Prince Mates Emnes is close enough to receive immediate news of the actions of Warlord Ferenti and is driven to righteous fury at the injustices performed. They gain a personal dislike for the Warlord Ferenti, making them more likely to act against them in the future. Right, let's talk about this. This is really, really interesting. So we've now got a nemesis. This is actually somebody who does want to come after us, this particular prince. If we go to where he is, he's right close to where we are. So we'll just go and dismiss that message there. We just completed that next raid. So what's happening? How is this actually all actually occurring? And what we'll do is we'll now look at another aspect of the game, which is the profile. Our profile, sorry, his profile is 23. Our profile is 25. Now, for every 10 profile that we have, our infamy sort of goes one level out from where we are. So our infamy extends out to here now, out to this convent, out to over through to here into the water, out to these locations. So all of this is now, our infamy is at this sort of level. Anyone outside that level won't know of what we're doing, and our menace has also increased a hell of a lot. We're now at 70, which is really, really high. And so he is inside that level. Now, to see what that actually is, if I press number 2 with him selected, I can see exactly where his infamy extends to. So that's the limit of his infamy, which is exactly where I sort of showed you. It's just 2 away at this stage. If he does another one, it'll be 3 away. So it'll be even further apart. And so more and more heroes will become aware of him, and he'll become an absolute, a global menace, essentially. He's he's already really high up in the list of things that people want to do against him. So how is this actually relating to the prince? The prince was inside the area, so was aware of inside his profile area, and sort of saw that was an issue. If we hover over him, we'll then sort of see that there is, he likes cooperation, he dislikes gold, but he now dislikes the warlord Ferende because we were inside that range. Now, some of the others may also get that as well. No, that was only the shadow, that's only gold. Some of these may have it. I don't know if this one here will actually even have it. Yeah, just dislikes cruelty. No, that's okay. Anyway, that's the first of them who's actually now taken a vendetta against us. And what that means is he's more likely to act on us because he's motivated to do it. But he has no minions and he has no real strength. So he's not going to be able to. He's just going to sit there and absolutely hate us, but not able to do anything about it. And if we have a look and see where the motivations are, he's motivated to disrupt us. He's got very high motivation to do that. And if we hover over that one, we can see that 50% of our actual menace, like we've got a menace of 70, so keep that in mind. And if we have a look and see, if they're going to do something like disrupt somebody, the menace of the person counts for 50%. So with 35 goes into that one, 20 because he dislikes us, so there we're up to 55 already. He's got a base reluctance because there's no danger to him to really come and do that. It's not as if he's not attacking us as such. And the distance is also, and it's only -1 because he's very, very close to us. So that's how his motivations are then sort of acting with that particular attack that's then going through. If we have a look further down, he'll have a much higher reluctance to actually attack us. So you can see we're at the very, very bottom here. And when we have a look at what's going on, because we have those ogres, we're considered a dangerous foe. And it's worth 600 points. Even though it's 70 menace, we're so dangerous with having those ogres in our retinue, that there's no way he's ever going to attack us. He's actually more likely to attack other characters back and through this side. He's not likely to attack any of them really. But anyway, that's sort of what is going on with that one. But he's likely to come and start to hover around us. Now, if that becomes a problem for us, we may have to kill him. But I don't think it really will. I think we can almost just ignore him, a bit like a gnat. All right, so we've now done some devastation in through here at 100%. The unrest is now at 35%, so we've got that will be reducing slowly. Banditry is high, which is what's caused the unrest, but the devastation will cause us as well. Let's go back and look at this other village that we left behind. So what we can see through here now, we looked at that before, where the food has now dropped down to 22. This has a whole lot of different roll-on effects because we can now see that the ward is still there and reducing. Not that that doesn't get impacted by any of this. Devastation is slowly coming down at -0.5 per turn, and now we've got starvation because the food is less than the actual population is. And so we've now got hunger. It's not starvation yet, it's just hunger. At 100%, the population at this location will decrease over time. Above 200%, the population will decrease by 5% each turn. And at 300%, the settlement will be destroyed as all living citizens finally starve. Now, I don't want that because I want to ultimately control all of this territory. I just want to make it easy for me to break into things. Now, with this level of hunger, this is now meaning that they're no longer sending food into this location. So we've also then got food of only 18 into here. We can see that it's got a base of 12 and habitability of 6. And so they're now under their population. The food is now under the population. And so they're also now getting hunger, they're getting unrest, and they've got political agitation. Now, the political agitation has nothing to do with us. but these other two are starting because of the lack of food coming in from that one location. And so what that then means is that their security has dropped a little bit as well. Or if it hasn't, no, it hasn't yet, but it will start to if that becomes serious. And so we just have to let this bubble away for a little while. And similarly over here, they're going to have the same problem. They're going to be at 31, where they've got a population of 50, and so we've got like the unrest is starting to increase. So yeah, again, we need this. Ultimately, this will get much higher. Hunger at this stage, we've got it's still feeding itself. There is a method the way that this one does work. This location is not producing enough food to support itself. While this modifier remains below 100%, the city will survive off the stored food. So it's not dramatic at this stage. So I can come back in and do another devastation here. If I look at the challenges we can do, I can do a raid, another raid on this location, so increasing the devastation. But I cannot do it if the devastation is over 150%. So in this case, I probably will leave that as it is because it's doing what I wanted it to do. All I wanted to do was stop the food supply, and that's done that. So that's good. And back in through here, this will now start to stop the food supply into here. But this one had a lot more food than the population. So I need to stop it here, and I need to stop it here. So we're now going to move you to there, and we're going to start to do a raid in through this location as well. So we put the raid in. We'll just end our turn. And it's going to be, what, 2 turns, 3 turns, is it, for this one now? Okay, so it's trying to reduce tensions again at Essions. Warlord Ferente completes raid periphery. So there we go. In times of danger, the people flee and to the fortress cities, and the army defends their local duke or duchess, leaving the surrounded areas ripe for the picking by marauding warbands. Great. So we've actually now done this one as well. Now, see how he came in? I think he may have been disrupting us. Yeah, he's going to disrupt the warlord. So he's going to do this a lot, and that's going to keep him tied up. He won't do other things while he's trying to do this, but whether we care about that or not, I don't know. Now, this one here has now been devastated. The food is still high. The devastation is minus 36. You can see there with the food. So we may have to do this one again. So let's just go and set up another raid, a second raid on this location. So we can do a second one. Actually, if you've got him selected, sorry. And go and click on raid periphery. And just keep him raiding there. Now, his menace is now 95, and his profile is now 35. So he's much more visible. Like if we press the number 2 again, we can now see that he's seen almost to the Queendom of Essions, which is where the Chosen One is sitting. We'll also notice another thing with this, which I'll probably leave this here now with the game, but you'll see that there's like a red, if I just press number 2, there's like a red star around these different locations. Our menace is now so high that the various guards will try to attack us, we've seen in the streets. And so we're still just literally a warlord with 2 ogres wandering around doing damage in the wilderness or in these sort of peripheral locations. But if we go into one of these cities, the guards will attack us and we'll lose 1 hit point for every time we stay in a city. I can pass through cities pretty quickly and avoid that. So we can sort of bounce in, do something and bounce back out again, but we do have to be careful. So that's something that they will try to do. When you see this little red mark, it means that you've actually now hit a degree of menace that really does cause issues in the other locations. And every location now in the world that is human will actually have that. Our infamy is creeping around, and they're worried about us. So we can no longer work in the cities. When we had low menace, we could. Even with high profile and low menace, we could do that. Anyway, guys, I think we'll leave this episode here. Actually, did we raid that one? Yeah, we did. I'll just finish off the raid. There we go. Supplicant completes infiltrate catacombs as well. So I'll just go to the actual to that particular character. And also we finish off the raid. So we've now got the catacombs through this location with 50% infiltration. The shadow has stopped. Actually, we've got a little bit trickling in now because of that ward. And we are getting a little bit because we're staying in this location. Oh, here we go. Now we're getting the starvation occurring in through here. So this is now, if we go to modifiers again, we've got hunger is increasing. And it's getting to a level soon where it will start to impact the actual place. The security is still 3. This one is still 2, so this one's coming down fairly quickly, almost enough for us to go back and have another look. But what I think we'll do with him is just go and sit back in here again, where the location has got 0 security. I'm ignoring the ward, even though the shadow has stopped into these locations. It's still going strongly into here, but not into these other ones. Like these are the ones that sort of stopped a little bit because of the wards. But we'll just go into this location now and do yet another infiltrate, and we'll infiltrate the holy site. So we'll go and do that one there. Anyway, guys, we were going to leave it there. So thanks for watching. I hope that was informative. We've still got this guy as well to do something. Now, what I could do with him, if I'm concerned about his menace being so high in his profile, we could actually retreat somewhere and hide and bring that one back up. So I can go back, for example, there's different locations where I can actually just go and what's it called? If we go back to, I can technically go into a city and do it, but I can actually just go, if I go to challenges, we can lay low, but I can't go to a city because of the problems that they will then attack me. So my best shot is to go back to this fortress. If I go to the fortress there and lay low there for a little while and bring the menace and profile down. He's done what we wanted him to do. Now, I wouldn't mind him getting gold. Actually, I might just get him to keep on doing stuff while we're here, if we can. We can't raid as such. He's at this location here. Yeah, no, infiltration is no good for him. He's no good at intrigue. I thought he could rob the treasuries from this, like, oh no, we have to have the infiltration, that's right. So look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send him back over to here and get him to rest, or just to lay low, and that way he will end up, now this guy will probably follow him because the infamy, the profile is now really, really big, and there may be other people that will come to look at him as well. So he is now becoming a focal point. In the next episode, we'll bring in another agent. We've had the agent here for quite some time, and I just haven't done it because I wanted to keep these episodes fairly segmented, but we'll have a look at another aspect of the game by selecting another agent. I don't know what that will be just yet. Anyway, I will catch you then.